Here we go. All right, everybody. Welcome to my channel. I'm Jared, the Fancy Thinker on YouTube. And with me today, I have two very special guests, both writers, both booktubers. Um, and they are here today to talk about one of their books called Blood Reunion
Yes.
by Joe Byrne, who is right there, or JCM Berne, as it is on the cover there.
Yeah.
And with me, I have Philip Chase, the author of the Adan trilogy, plus While
That's right.
Darkness Gathers as well.
Mhm.
Um, and yes, so it turns out that both Philip and I had recently finished Blood Reunion within the past few months here. And we decided to talk about it. And Joe was so gracious to join us to talk about it as well. So
Uh,
this is book three, or I'm sorry, turn three in the Hybrid Helix series, and it's called Blood Reunion. And you saw the cover that Joe held up there. A very cool cover, I must say.
I love
It
this one.
It's
Yeah,
Rohan looking serious. Yeah.
looking serious, and for those who don't know, there's quite a bit of humor in this series in these books. So Rohan looking that serious on the cover means something's up, right?
Yeah. Jared,
So
are we doing spoilers right
um,
away, or are we gonna
yeah,
dance around
let's just get a high level thought here, Philip, from you on this book and on the series before we get into spoilers. Uh,
Okay.
how uh, how are you enjoying the series, and specifically, how did this book uh, either ramp it up for you, or was it even keel from the first two, or how do you feel about this third book in the series now?
Oh, I had a great time with it. You mentioned the humor already, Jared, and I think that's a hallmark of Joe's writing in this series, and it's something that I enjoy a lot. There are also lots of fun allusions in this, and it's also the idea of okay, vampires in space. This is again, this is the thing that you see with Hybrid Helix, where Joe has no fear whatsoever about just throwing everything into this story from all over every which way. So there's it's sci-fi, but it's kind of fantasy too. There's magic, there's huge comic book influence, and obviously vampires and whatnot. It's great. It's just fun. It's great fun. But at the same time, there's some serious stuff going on here. And you have there's an ongoing journey of the main character, of the protagonist, Rohan, the subject of the cover there that we just saw. And he has some trauma. He has some, he's been through some stuff. And this is a man who is trying to, well, half a human anyway, who is trying to make himself a better person. And this is a journey that he's on, and we're with him through all these books. This is an ongoing part of the series, and in the process, it gets pretty philosophical sometimes. There's a lot in here about the nature of friendship and what it means to be a person, what it means to be a good person, and sacrifice and redemption. There's just a lot of really cool stuff rolled into this series. So this is one of the reasons why I'm enjoying it so much, because it's got it all. It's got the humor, it's got the serious stuff, it's got the depth, and it's got the fun. It's got the action. So it's just huge thumbs up. I had a great time in Blood Reunion, and also I love the clever titles. We got to talk when we do spoilers. We got to talk about how clever the title is, Blood Reunion, and how many different meanings there are to that. So,
Every title does that. Every title in the series has to mean at least two distinct interpretations with respect to the book, which is why coming up with titles takes me a long time. But
that's part those kinds of restrictions, those rules have a way of squeezing out some creativity, though. So that's a good thing.
I can't work without them now. I need all the constraints to write these books.
It's like writing
right?
a sonnet, right? You gotta have iambic pentameter, and you gotta have these rhyme scheme and all that. You got your rules, and it's working. So.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I could see that easily getting out of control when you have such a spread of variables that this setting that you created can bring. Because you have the sci-fi, you have some fantasy in there, you have the superhero aspects, and that can branch out in so many wild directions that I think putting some constraint in order to
Oh yeah.
creatively put that together is probably a good thing.
Like the books are all the same length, basically. And like that really helps because it's easy for me to imagine just throwing with the kitchen sink aspect. You could just go out of control
Right.
and start writing 400,000 word books. And I don't think my audience would appreciate that.
How many words are a typical hybrid Helix?
Just under 120,000. So they're all between like 118.5 and 120. So it's a pretty narrow band. I have to double check like Wistful if I was. It might have been like 118, but it's very narrow band. So keeping that as a constraint for the series just helps because I want to pack more and more into the book. And the trick is packing more and more in, but not adding to the word count, which to me is that's part of the constraint. That's part of what makes it fun. And I generally write to that. I don't cut back down to 120. So at no point was the book ever 125.
Yeah.
I might have been a little over and I nipped some stuff in editing, but generally speaking, I get there in the first draft mostly. So it's tricky.
It's very bingeable too. And the books are self-contained stories, but there's also continuing threads that connect all these together, right? And is that the fair description?
Oh yeah, I would say so. Which has a very comic book series feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
When you have the individual story arc, but you also have the continuing threads from issue
Kind
to
of like
issue.
Dresden Files, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The structure, I was thinking Dresden in a large way, except I think I think I have more of these elements coming in earlier because it took him a little longer to get to them, but it was also he paved the way. So, but yeah,
cool. Well, I did see that you have story arcs. Like this is the end of the first arc. Well, it's listed at the end of the Kindle. I know.
Which I didn't really write them that way. Like I just write them, but then I realized that for the sake of like marketing and like maybe making an omnibus like through a Kickstarter, it really helps to just take these 25 books and put them into collected groups that made sense to readers. So first I had them in sets of 5. Like the first 5 I gave a name, and there are old editions where it says this is book 3 of 5 and the first whatever, right? And then I realized that structurally it made more sense to make trilogies out of it. Like, but thematically you could argue either way because stuff happens in book 5 that you guys haven't read yet, but it feels like the ending or a beginning. So I keep going back and forth, and it's not good. It's not fair to my readers, but they're not really meant to be sets of 3. It's not like a trilogy. Really, every book is meant to be kind of a standalone, and then 4 through 9 have a unifying thread that you'll see. But yeah, I don't think of them first as this is going to be like the middle book in a trilogy. I think of it more as this is just book 2. This is book 3, and then so on. So
okay.
Shout out to the audiobook narrator as well.
Wayne.
A, because he does a really great job, and B, because Joe has to make his money back on these. So the audiobooks are great, and I've been listening to the series, and I'm having a great time. And I love the narrator's Rohan voice is perfect. So that's for me, that's Rohan's voice now. But I also love the wistful voice in there. That's a favorite of mine too. But yeah, there's several characters, the regulars whose voices I now pretty much hear the way I've been listening to the audiobooks. So,
we have a good conversation. She's like, wait, do these bears have Russian accents? I'm like, yes, they do. When he's first, because he'll read it and he'll say, like, what's going on here? And then they'll send me lists of names. Like, how do you pronounce these? And I'm like, I swear, a quarter of them, I'm like, I have no idea. Did I write that? Like, are you serious? And then I have to go back to figure out, how do you pronounce this word? And then I figured out. But Wayne's great. I have the first Wayne Farrell, and I have the first 15 chapters of Suppression of Powers on my hard drive to edit as he's working through that. So he should be finished editing that. So that's book 6.
Wow.
And then I'm going to try to get him on book 7 and 8 as soon as I can. And then I don't know, book 9's not out. I mean, book 9 is I'm writing book 9, so Wayne's gonna have to wait with everybody else.
Faster.
Yeah. Well, he was like not out of the business for a while for a variety of reasons. So there were a couple of years where he just wasn't doing any narration. And then And then we came back and I'm like, I got to just get these done. Cause I found that there were too many readers I was trying to reach who were audio only, like you, Philip, right? Let's face it. I sent you Partial Function like 2 years ago, right? Right. It's on a shelf somewhere, I'm sure. And I totally understand, but like, I'm like, I just need too many people who are, well, I'll listen to an audiobook because that just jumps the queue because there are just fewer of them out there.
Yep.
I was like, I got to get more people to read further into the series because I want to have more discussions like this about book 3, right? Because part of what brings me the most joy is these developing elements in the long term. Right? That's what I love. So I'm like, I got to talk to people about the later books, but it doesn't work if they've only read the first one.
And what's been the publishing schedule? So how often have you published these, like on a
the
regular
books?
basis? Yeah,
the books are all. I've been getting almost 2 a year.
2 a year.
Two a year. I fell behind. I need to because I am 55 and I'm planning a 25 book series. And my dad died at 58. So my my mortality is looming over and I hate to die with the book. I need to like write out like a whole thing on a secret doc. Like this is how it's supposed to end. So my wife can like tweet it or something, if I die before the series is over. This is what the ending was supposed to be, guys. Sorry. It's a little morbid.
And here you see the JCM Berne humor.
a little dark sometimes, right?
It can be. It can be.
In the books as well, yeah. Sometimes, yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I'm shooting for 2 a year. I fell behind, so I think I missed basically one book in the last. Like I did 3 books in 2 years. I just life happens. But hopefully I'm gonna get back onto 2 a year because I know it needs. I have a very loose plan for the next 15 books. I know generally what has to happen. I know how the series is going to end. I know how I want it to end. I know the kind of storylines I want to happen in there. And I want to do it right. Like that's the joy because I really, I feel like for me, what's going to be so satisfying is having someone read book 22 and be like, oh, we've been waiting for this, because it's just a different feeling than you get from writing one. I mean, writing one great book is phenomenal and having people read it, enjoy it is phenomenal, but it's a different thing. So.
All right. Well, I was planning to read 1 a year, but now I got to pick up the pace. Maybe 2 a year.
You got to do 2 a year, at least.
All right. Cool. Are we ready for some spoiler action here, folks? All right. So this title, as Philip alluded to earlier, of course, has to do with vampires and some vampire stuff. Now, Joe, you did hint at some vampire stuff in book 2 on Earth.
Yep.
But this book took it to a whole new level.
These are alien vampires.
Yes. Yeah, indeed. So, but I enjoyed how you brought them in through that. What was that, like a portal or something like that, or
a wormhole?
Wormhole. That's what it was.
And that's how the series started, right? A wormhole opens and the Ursans come through.
And the space bears,
1 of 5, right? So like there's 4 more. They got to open eventually, right? It's like Chekhov's gun, right? Sooner or later, do I know what's behind all 4 or 5 wormholes? No. I'm gonna figure it out before we get to the end of the series.
Yeah.
I will.
That's the classic sci-fi trope of, a virus or something.
Oh yeah,
something entering our universe through another opening of some sort of wormhole or portal or what have you. And I really enjoyed that because I thought it was hilarious that the virus, so to speak, that entering our system was this vampire creature, and the power level that jumped up in this book. I was really worried for a while. I was like, wow, how are they going to get out of this? I don't know if you felt the same way, Philip.
Well, the power level and also the lore, because we learn a lot in this book about the deep background here. Like Wistful has a brother station out there, and these were created by this race called the Ilsane. And so the Ildrak are basically the children of the Ilsane. And who are these Ilsane and what the heck are they all about? And then, of course, there's these ancient ones, and there seem to be like the big running antagonist, the octopus people or whatever we're going to call them. I mean, they're massive ones out there that when they wake up, they're gonna wreak havoc on a cosmic scale, So there's now we're getting into some cosmic horror in the mix too. So
I was telling John Minton that I'm like, you're not the only one who can do cosmic horror, buddy. I've got some.
So there's some major lore that's getting. This is really opening up. So I like the way you put it, Jared, because the power scale, but also just the lore, everything is opening up here, and we're getting hints of maybe some of the big threads that are gonna I think, I'm guessing, because I haven't gone beyond this yet, but I'm guessing these entities are going to be a big part of what's to come. So
and and what I did like as well was the you didn't forget the other characters that we had come to know through books 1, especially book 1 and in book 2, but I especially like the instructor, the head of security there.
Whaley.
Yeah. She is great, and she seems like she still has some surprises up her sleeve that we haven't even seen yet, but we got a couple in this one. And
I always laugh. She's mean to Rohan.
Yeah, it's great. But there were also a couple of other characters that were already on Wistful that surprised us with their introduction and some of their past history, and so I really enjoyed that. What was he, an engineer or something like that?
He's an Ilsane. Yeah.
Oh, Tolan. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
So, I wish I remembered it when I planned that, because I have no recollection of like when I thought of, like, I don't even know if I had that in mind when I wrote Wistful Ascending, or if I came up with like, oh, wouldn't it be great if he was actually one of the, like, I don't remember when I figured this out. So I should have kept better notes all along, but yeah.
And then, of course, there's another aspect to this, and going back to that title, yes, it's about vampires, but it's also about a family reunion, right? We get a family reunion here on Wistful with Rohan's beloved father, or maybe not quite so beloved.
You met Mom, right? You met Mom.
You met Mom.
You got to meet Dad.
I got to say, I probably prefer Mom over Dad. Sorry.
I love Drew is when I realized that my greatest gift as a writer is probably writing annoying characters, like supremely annoying characters. There's one coming up that you'll meet. I forget which book, but I get in and I start thinking, what would drive me crazy, and then I just have them do that, and it's like, oh, this is you made it. People may not like these characters, but they are super annoying. So Drew was a ton of fun. I mean, you have to think that like the whole structure of this is the Ildrak themselves they're tough, but they're not anything, earth shattering. It's the kids, right? So what happens when it's your kids who are truly like your weapons, right? You've got to manipulate them in all kinds of ways to make sure that they do what it's like child soldier kind of stuff. So it's not necessarily a healthy parent-child relationship.
No.
So I had to bring that to the fore without being too graphic. You don't want to be too dark about the trauma these kids go through, but get a hint of it.
Yeah.
Well, it's a big part of Rohan's journey is recovering from having a parent, a father who's essentially used him like that. And he doesn't even call him dad really most of the time. He just calls him Dhruv, we saw his mother. That's a warmer relationship. That was not a relationship of exploitation. That's a relationship of love. And of course, she has his best interest. You always know she has his best interest. With Dhruv, you don't think he has Rohan's best interest in mind at all. He's got some Machiavellian thing going on where, I somehow am so superior that I can use everybody and everything around me to now maybe he's got this big end game that has something to do with these ancient ones that are a threat to existence. Maybe he could justify, because he's took a peek. He's a bit of a maverick even among the Ildrak. So he took a peek where he really shouldn't have, and he got the crap scared out of him by what he saw. So maybe that's part of why he's so ruthless and using not just his own son, but anything. Like he wants to take over Wistful because it could be a weapon for him in this bigger picture agenda of his. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, he's an interesting character. I can't hate him entirely. But at the same time, boy, does he have a lot of answering to do.
Yeah. And I think we see a little bit of that personality in Rohan sometimes, with that need to look further, that need to take a peek. We've seen that in a couple of cases with him, and I think that's pretty clever. How like father, like son in that aspect of it. But and that's
they're a lot alike.
Yeah, well, they are.
That always makes it more aggravating, right? When you're with this person and they drive you crazy, and you're like, you're just like me, like, and it annoys the crap out of me. But
and that's part of the thing that Rohan is trying to escape sometimes. He's trying to escape that part of him and look for something different. And that's one of the things I really like about this is Rohan's search for a different answer. He doesn't want to just punch things to solve problems. He's constantly searching for that different answer, and especially in this book. In book 1 and 2, he did a lot of punching, and but in this book, he was really trying to seek something different, seek a different answer, look for a different way to solve his problems. And he still ended up getting the crap beat out.
He still ended up having to do punching.
Yeah. Fair amount.
Because to me, that's part of the thing, right? Like you have to strive to not do the punching, but sometimes you've got to punch things, or the equivalent, right? Like you wouldn't have ended Nazi Germany in a peaceful. You couldn't have gone up and like, hey, let's just negotiate this. At some point you got to send in troops.
Tried that.
So.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because that extends to Rohan's Jared. I love that you brought this up because his desire to be a better person is a big part of his journey, and you see it in how he tries to relate to his father. He doesn't really want his father to be part of his life. He's done with that being manipulated, done with being that person, that weapon that his father tried to make him, and there's a lot of resentment there. But he also tries to save his father when he's threatened, but the matriarch shows up, his stepmother, right, shows up, and she's going to kill him, and Rohan protects him. He's not. I mean, there's still some bond there. There's still some love. It's complicated, with child parent.
Still your dad, Yeah. You can be mad at your dad. Doesn't mean you want like your mom or your stepmom to rip his head off.
Right. Which she would have done.
We don't normally face these kind of dilemma exactly in real life, but it's analogous, right?
I gotta love though the way you resolved her anger, need to let it all out with Rohan saying, "Hey, I know what I can do for you, and I'm not lying to you here. I can't lie to you anyway."
Right? That's right.
And he puts her on the planet with all the massive dinosaurs and whatnot, so she can let it all out. So he finds a creative way. That's Rohan. He's a thinker. That's the thing that distinguishes him as an Ildrak hybrid, is that, as you were saying, Jared, they're all about punching, but he's always been different, just like his father has always been different among the Ildrak. He's a thinker. He gets outside the box and does something unexpected. So that it's like he is both being his father, but also he's rebelling against him at the same time by being this way.
Yeah. He's always looking at his own faults. Sometimes even unbearably so. Sometimes he continues to look at his own faults when everyone else is telling him, knock it off, just go do what you gotta do. It's kind of funny. There were several times in the book where I was yelling at Rohan to stop interrupting people and let them tell their story. And it was kind of funny. I was just like, I'm actually arguing with a character in the book. Why am I doing that? But you brought that out of me, Joe.
Okay, good. I guess. Yeah. Yeah, he's. I mean, that's part of it's part of the double-edged sword, right? That because the Ildrak teach their or train or mold their children to be weapons, they're not thinkers. They deliberately try to not let them be thinkers because it's harder to control a thinker. That's the underlying presumption, right? And his father's like, screw that. I'm going to teach my kid to really think because he'll be more dangerous that way and more useful to me, right? But like the other Ildrak are afraid. They're afraid of having their kids be smart, thinking, making their own decisions. They want them to be like automatons. And that's what ends up making Rohan more useful is everyone else is like not lack of vision. So that's a theme that's going to keep going.
Makes him a rebel too, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone else hates his dad. I mean, you don't see a ton of that. Like you're not going to have like a whole book of like backroom politics on the homeworld, right? That's not what I do, but it's implied that that's happening in, off page. So that's about what we're going to get from that.
And don't piss off a matriarch.
Yeah. They're just like nuclear weapons. Just like, here, you want some tea? Would you like some more tea? Like, I just picture them like servants and Zen gardens and like flower arrangements and like everyone chill.
Like how everyone reacts to her on Wistful when she emerges, and everybody's just like, well, okay, whatever she says, just agree right away.
Well, she's giving him a head in a box. What do you
you
can't argue with that. There's some brutality in there. I had fun with that. I do have some of the most fun I have writing series is where Rohan can't lie because you have a lot of empaths around. So he'll be in front of someone, and if he lies, they'll know it. And that's part of the conceit of the magic system, which I love because it just creates all these situations where how can you use the truth to obfuscate and get what you want and trick people, but you have to everything has to be true. And I use that quite a few places in the series. That's the most fun. And then Dhruv says it, right? All the best lies are true, which is my favorite line from that book.
Yeah.
Because that's a very Dhruv that kind of sums up his personality. It's a master manipulator kind of thing. So, yeah.
Can we talk about the tragedy of Artahul, the vampire, who hitches a ride, gets to Wistful and starts making a mess of everything, and then he's an ancient being. But he too has been, because the Ilsane have been engineered themselves to specialize. So he's a warrior class, right? And he's a tool as well. They made themselves into tools of a sort. And he also is a vampire that sucks out people's souls. So he's actually got all kinds of personalities inside him, right? He's got
Chorus.
Yeah, look, he's Chorus, right? It's really, that's his name. Artahul is really just a title, right? Yeah. Actually, Rohan inherits the title because he kills him, but he's Chorus, I guess, is the better way to refer to him. But he's a tragic figure too, in that, and the reason Rohan doesn't want to kill him, it's not just, oh, I don't want to be a killer anymore. It's, my God, how much knowledge is in this guy, right? Like he goes way back. I forget, what is it, 20,000 years or whatever it is. I mean, he goes.
I think it's 50. It's either 40 or 50. I should know this. I should really have this written down somewhere. Sometimes I'm bad.
But just the tragedy of killing someone with that amount of knowledge and experience. I mean, it's almost like you wish they could sit down with him. Can I ask you a bunch of questions before we kill you? Can we do an interview first? Because it's a shame to have to be denied all that, and that there's some valuable information there for the bigger picture struggle, and that Dhruv particularly wants that information, right? Oh, yeah. He knows the importance of that information. So I
like the dual struggle there of wanting to preserve, but you had also the Empire saying we need to destroy Wistful because we need to destroy this threat to the universe, and so you're trying to hold them off as well as contain this guy who's, even though he has all this knowledge and information and he's a tragic figure, he's still doing some really bad things here. So you can't just use the population of Wistful as cattle for this vampire, but you have that all these moral dilemmas sinking in from all different sides and all different um, you know, angles that Rohan has to deal with, and I really felt like some trepidation reading this because he was really under the gun a lot of the way.
He had a big hole in his gut. We can see right through you. We can see right through you. No secrets from us.
And he had to be saved by a doctor who's not her direct people, but Rohan had actually wiped out a whole bunch of people very like her, like they're the original race or on the planet or whatever. It wasn't that the place that Rohan, basically he has exterminated whole peoples in his duty.
Yeah, it was a throwaway line in the first, or it was we talked about it in Wistful, but no details, right? The Zahad was a system colonized by an offshoot of the Shage, and he basically, as work while in fleet, this is all this is all said in Wistful. He has to basically wipe out the entire system,
right?
And which he does. He committed genocide, right?
Right.
And yeah. So she's a member of that piece. So she's my favorite like philosophy problem because she is super racist against hybrids because a hybrid wiped out her people. So she takes it out on Rohan, which is kind of racist, right? But actually he really was the one. So it's like, is it okay to be angry at this guy because of his race when he actually was the root cause of your hostility, even though you don't know that? And of course, it's not important to resolve the question, but to me, I thought that was hilarious. And the idea that, you're and she's like, she was fun. That the whole like substance abusing doctor who doesn't really care about their patients is a great trope. I'm sure I've seen it, but I can't remember where I've seen it, but that's just fun.
More of a scientist than a doctor, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had fun with Maggie, and then and remind everyone because some people sometimes call these books cozy, and I'm like, they're not super high pressure, but there's some lot of genocide going on for a like I don't know if that I don't know if Travis Baldry's got to worry about his corner on the market there.
I mean, there is an emphasis on good food and comradeship and that kind of thing. I guess I get where the cozy thing is coming from there.
There are cozy moments.
It has cozy moments. Yes.
Let's agree with that. No, I agree. I mean, that's deliberate, right? That was always part of the plan was to.
Yeah. Well, it gives us a breather in between all the action.
In between Ron fighting this celestial vampire and having holes drilled in his shin bones and everything else. I quite enjoy actually all the food descriptions you throw in there. I think those are fascinating, and every time I'm reading one of your books, I'm getting hungry. But
my wife's a big foodie, so she got me eating much more interesting stuff. So we've been to some really good restaurants. There's a great food scene around here. So I was inspired. I've been inspired. If I wrote these books 20 years ago, it'd be a lot more pizza and hamburgers. When I was younger,
Well, Rohan has a pizza joint that he used to hang out in on Earth, right?
So. That's right. Yeah.
Do you know what that's from, right? That's totally ripped off from the movie The Last Dragon with Timac. There was this 80s martial arts, cheesy martial arts film, and the main character, his dad owns a pizza shop, Daddy Green's Pizza. Just get to your pizza to Daddy Green's Pizza, and I just stole it and I put it in the book.
So when you said cheesy, you meant that literally.
both, yeah, both literally and metaphorically cheesy. Yes. That was like me, like a little homage to there's a lot of that, right? There's like if you don't like get the reference, it's fine. But this was like a 80s, very the quintessential 80s like low budget action movie. Came out in like 84, something like that. Anyway. Rohan had his pizza when he was younger. You can't be a New Yorker or live in New York. He's not a New Yorker, but he lived there for a long time. Yeah, and not have a pizza joint.
Look, you better not mistake him for an American. He's Canadian, man.
He's Canadian. That's just in there for a Tim Hortons joke, I think. That's why I made him Canadian. Like there was some offhand joke I wanted to make. I'm like, screw it, he's Canadian. So it worked.
Nice. Another fascinating aspect uh, is, which I think ties into the Blood Reunion title, is these vampires who are um, you know,
Yeah.
anti bloodsuckers. They don't want to give in to their blood sucking impulses. And I was like, you introduced those. I think it was three, right? Three characters who were part of this society of non giving into the urge.
Order of the
And
Famine.
yeah, and
Yeah,
Order of
Sister
the Famine.
Famine.
Yeah, that's right. And I was like, what a fascinating idea that was. I really enjoyed that because they're they're that it just there were characters that showed us a high level of self-control that Rohan himself was trying to display at certain points in the book and in the series so far. He was trying to display self-control at a lot of different situations, and then in come these characters who are the really supreme self-control people uh, coming in and putting their viewpoint on things and trying to help out in the situation, and not really happy at Rohan sometimes, like everybody else. But I really enjoyed those characters and their arc, and you had the tragic death of the two
Brother
of them.
Famine, Brother Famine, and Mother Famine. Both.
Yeah, it's both of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was
Plus the tension, attraction between Sister Famine and Rohan, because she's the same species basically as his ex, right? Right.
Yeah.
So
He likes green girls. What can I say?
that was interesting. He likes green girls. Yeah.
I don't know why.
Rohan has a tragic love life. This is a guy who just can't win. You think, right? I mean, some of it's his own fault, but also he seems to have bad luck. When it comes to, I mean, he has we learned about his past in book 2 with he really messed up a lot of relationships there.
Mm-hmm.
But he had this wonderful thing going with a woman who turned out that her husband, actually in book 2, we learned he didn't abandon her, and Rohan, being the gentleman he is, came forward with that information and told her, look, he was being threatened by your father. So actually, you maybe want to take him back. And that was a huge sacrifice. And now he's got another one that he seems interested in, and she's definitely interested in him, but she's a vampire. Can't happen because the whole vampire juices get going when things get hot, right? So.
Yeah. And hybrids are especially tasty, which I think was a plot point in the second book, I think. I don't know. But he uses that quite a bit. So he's too tempting. He's too hot and tempting for her. So,
which he uses to his advantage too, of course, in the fight with Chorus. It's his own blood that finally, when he gives his blood and he's sucking the blood, he's like, all right, I can shape my blood. And that's how he defeats him. Like blood spear, literal blood spear. Trump. Yeah. That was quite a gruesome ending, wasn't it?
Yeah, so cozy.
Cozy. It's a blood spear erupting out of the dude.
I know.
Comic booky, like cartoonish violence is a funny thing, right? Like you can write these very gruesome scenes, but it feels very different than if you read them in a realistic portrayal of like an actual event. Like some story about a war. It would be horrifying and make you sick to your stomach. But you can read it in a book like this, and it's like, oh, this is good. It's a little gruesome, but it's kind of fun. And I like playing with that little bit. Yeah, but the Order of the Famine is that it's all the same. It's all this another side of the same problem, right? When you have these dark impulses and desires, and how can you live with them? And their way is to deny them, right? And I always think of them as like the example of, I'm sure out there in the world right now, there are people who are pedophiles who have never touched a child, right? They're like, okay, I am attracted sexually to children, but I don't want to hurt anybody. I will never actually act on. You don't know who they are. I'm sure they're not advertising this, right? They're not telling friends at the bar, oh, really wish I could have sex with a 7-year-old. Like, you can't say that, but that's got to be kind of a horrible way. I mean, it's better than the alternative, right? It's better than acting on the impulse, but it's also, I feel like I can have some some sympathy for someone who never touches a child, right? In that situation. So to me, the Order of the Famine is like, and it's also like Rohan with his anger. You can't let it out, or not willy nilly at least. So to me, it was all like different sides of a similar underlying thing. Like Dexter, you know, you ever watch the show Dexter? The guy was his dark impulse, right, to be a serial killer, and his dad tries to shape him into someone who uses it for good, or at least better. It doesn't always work out, but
yeah, it turns him into a vigilante rather than a random serial killer. But it's it was interesting. I really liked reading about those characters, and I forget what happens. Where does the sister end up at the end of the book?
She's still a vampire. They couldn't cure her.
Right,
can't cure her.
But she's still on Wistful, or
no? She leaves. She's got to go back to
Right.
She's got to go back to members of her order to be supervised. She's not ready to be out there without supervision. When she is, they'll call her mother, I guess. That's some of my favorite like writing advice to people is when you can give characters names that are just easy to remember. Because if all these characters just had proper names, it's easy to lose it, right? But things like mother, sister, and brother, family, you're never going to get those confused because we all know the words mother, brother, and sister, right? So I'm like, this is just a cheat code. I love it. Nicknames are good. I was very proud of myself for figuring that out.
Speaking of names, let me ask you a question, Joe. Why does Dhruv take a South Asian name and appearance when he doesn't have to do that, right? I mean, he could appear, as far as I understand, the Ildrak. I mean, is he doing that? Does he still have a thing for Rohan's mother, or
I don't think it's in the books anywhere, but they're not shapeshifters. Like they can just transform. They go into the closet, they come out looking different. Like there's like surgery and like long periods of convalescence involved. So they can change their shape very gradually, and it's hard. So he's in a shape that he was in when he was on Earth, and it's like he hasn't bothered shifting yet. But 100 years from now, if he's still alive, he might have changed to something new. You're going to pick because they need to fit in whatever planet they're breeding on, right? So he was South Asian. Presumably, you could imagine, and again, I haven't said in the books, you could imagine he'd been on Earth for maybe a very long time, having multiple like partners and leaving, coming back, and just India's got a lot of people. So if you look South Asian, you can fit in a big chunk of the world. That's just convenient. And then presumably like one day he could shift it again or look like a different kind. Like if he can move to Tamar's homeworld and, grow antennae and become green, but it would take time and effort and possibly surgery. I never decided exactly, but that's the underlying idea. So they're not shaped. They're not like Odo on Deep Space Nine, just like take on any form they want, like in a minute. It's much more. So he's going to look like Dhruv for a long time.
For the long haul. That was the idea. Okay.
Yeah. And he's human. So on Ice Colony, it's good enough. Because Ice Colony is the place where he found Sigrid was actually seeded by people from Earth. Like the Ildrak took a bunch, kidnapped a bunch of Vikings, stuck them on a ship, put them on this other planet, put them down, and said, "Great, now this is your new home." And they were like, "Okay," and it's because they like humans. Humans make good hybrids, which is another conceit that just makes the rest of the story easier to tell. You have to give a little just cheats, right? It's like, I'll just make it easier.
So there are a lot of half Viking hybrids then.
Well, two of them from the first book.
Yeah.
Giroux and I think what's his name? Rex was Ice Colony. I can't remember now, but there are more. We go back to Ice Colony plays a decent. There's a set piece on there in book 8, so we go there.
Cool.
Something to look forward to. All
right. We come back to all these things. Like you never just like leave them behind forever. We'll come back. We'll see more. Yeah, you see more of everything. Because it's fun to do the kitchen sink thing, but if like all these elements get thrown in there and then they appear and then they disappear. It just feels pointless at some point. You're like, oh great, another alien. Doesn't really mean anything. But if they come back and their permutations and their connections get deeper, then to me that's what's fun, right? So
are you actually discovering that as you write, or have you planned the meaning behind these things?
50-50.
Okay.
50-50. So there are definitely connections that, I mean, I have not planned each book in detail, right? Like in going forward, right? So I have very rough ideas what's going to happen. And then as I get there, but the relationships between the different like the history, the deep history, like 500 million years ago, what were the different species in the galaxy? Where were they living? What could they do? That stuff I have loosely, all that stuff's figured out. Because it has to be a balance where it sort of makes sense that we've been in this sort of static power dynamic for a long time. Because if Rohan does something to change the way the universe works, it's like, well, why didn't anyone else do it 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago? The Osine tried. Why did they fail? Like, what was going on? Why did the octopi all become? Why were the cephalopods? Why do they turn themselves into vampires and become the size of moons? Like, what were they pissed off at? Right? I have answers to all these things. But sometimes, I find that if I leave enough of it, if I write it all down, I'm like, this is the final detail, then you lose some room for inspiration, right? So like I've had ideas, like I think I finally figured out the role the Decipedes are going to play in the galactic power dynamic I figured out this year.
The kaiju.
Like in the last few months, the specifically the Decipedes. There's lots of kaiju, but specifically the bugs.
Okay.
And I finally figured out where they came from and like what their role is in the whole thing. I thought I was like in the shower and I'm like, oh, that'd be cool. Like, okay. So
Nice.
there's always room for and I think everyone does this, right? You come up with a new way to like link these two things as you come in, like, oh. And unless you've written yourself into a corner, which can happen too, I've definitely done things where I'm like, oh, I would change that, but I already wrote it all like too concretely, so now I'm stuck. But that happens. But,
write your way out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can try.
Yeah. What? You gave me a great line out of this book that I actually posted at my work. Because I'm in quality control. So the line was from the engineer guy, I believe. It was, don't let the perfect get in the way of the acceptable. And I really love that line. I have that on my desk. And I show it to my workers and say, look at this.
Yeah.
I just thought that was great.
Yeah, that is true, right? Like I write software, so we get into that concept a lot. Like I could spend many more days on this and make it prettier, but at some point,
at some point you gotta let it go out the door. Yeah. I'm sure, Philip, you could spend 18 more years perfecting every little word you wrote, but at some point, right?
I am actually dumb enough to do that. So.
But that's a really good example, right? It's when you write, like when you're like, I mean, every time I edit this, I guarantee if I read Blood Reunion today, I'd want to change some stuff, right? Like, and I cheated, right? When I did the audio, I expanded the final battle scene and I changed a bunch of stuff just because it was there. And then nothing really changed in terms of like your understanding of the story. No new revelations, no different characters. But I was like, oh, I can make this a little clearer what's going through his head here. So I added like 2 pages of text. So yeah, I'm like
audio only. Audio only.
No, I put it in the if Jared had if it said that it's part of a trilogy, then he saw the new text. But I very quietly changed it. I just updated it on KDP. I didn't make a big statement about it, and I massively rewrote Return of the Griffin several times. But one big thing, and I actually did change characters and take out whole plot lines. I think Philip, you and I talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
But this is an indie author. It's probably I have mixed feelings about it. Part of me is like, I probably shouldn't do that because like it's out in the world. Then I'm like, but then I have new readers coming and let them have a better experience. And you can't spend too much time doing that. That's the trap, right? You spend all your writing time like rewriting your first whatever or earlier books. Like it's not a good place to be. So, but I'm really glad you guys enjoyed these books. It made me very, very happy. I respect your opinions a ton. I watched a lot of your videos, so.
But not all of them.
No, not all. Your talks with Critical Dragon still show up on my YouTube homepage every once in a while. Like 5 years ago, there was this talk. I'm like, I've watched most of them. But
Poor thing. Yeah. My goodness.
that's good. So that's how I got into BookTube, was through people who talking about Malazan. That was my first thing that I found.
Yeah.
In BookTube, that was fun.
That's wild.
Even though my writing is nothing like Stephen Erickson's.
Well, I don't know if anyone's is, but yeah.
Some more than yeah.
All right. Were there any other topics, Philip, that you had?
No, just I do want to say I'm really excited to continue in Hybrid Helix.
Thank you so much.
I'm 25 books, man. That's
wow.
something. I mean,
let's see.
We'll see, but that's a good ambition to have, and I'm ready to follow Rohan wherever he goes, and Wistful, hopefully. I got a little scared for Wistful in this one, but
True.
I'm glad that she ended up with her free will restored, as it were, because I didn't know it was compromised until this book, because Ilsane engineering her essentially to be obedient to any one of them. So it was good to have her freed of that.
That was actually a big event in this book. A big news item we found out. We didn't realize that Wistful was not a free creature in the previous two books, and now this one. That was pretty big. There's
some philosophical stuff in there too about free will and Rohan respecting Wistful's free will, and basically he's the one who set that up. I mean, he fooled his father. His father was pretty pissed at him too, because his father wanted to take over, and he convinced Tolan to actually make it so that Wistful would be free of anyone's
that's right.
authority. Which is good. So we gotta protect Wistful here going forward.
But this is the ethical thing, right? Like you have the situation where the stakes are very high. Do you control other people to make sure they do the right thing? Because if they don't, the consequences could be catastrophic. But if you do that, you're not respecting their autonomy, and you are not respecting their choice. And Rohan is sort of maybe the world will blow up, but I'm not if you let yourself get sucked down that other path, I'm controlling them, but it's for their own good. It just ends up in a bad place. It ends up things getting worse.
Yeah,
you end up being the Ildra.
Well, that's the same as the Ildra controlling him previously.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
that's exactly the echo of that. And he's like, I'm not doing that, even though it's tempting, even though he knows how, and he could have come out of this book with with Wistful's remote control in his hand.
Yeah.
But he's like, nope.
Now she's staying by that planet with the kaiju on it out of her own desire to. Okay, I feel responsible here. I think I'll stay put. Yeah, and she has that dialogue with Rohan, okay, do I need to stay here? And he's like, it's up to you. You've got your free will.
I hope you do, because if you don't, it's gonna really suck for everyone else.
Yep.
But I'm not gonna make you. Yeah, I mean, this is me after being forced to study Sartre in grad school, being like, I'm going to use this one day. And after after many years of writing software and not using Sartre, I was like, okay, I've got to find another way to utilize all these thoughts about free will and having a body and all that stuff. So I'm going to put it into a superhero story, which may not have been the most efficient outlet, but
it works.
I think it works.
It makes the story even better too. So
it does.
It gives it depth.
Yeah, people like Wistful, and I find it really interesting because she doesn't do that much in any of the books. She doesn't have that much dialogue, and and I'm trying to figure out what people appreciate about are you projecting? What are you projecting into this character? Because she's
good question.
I'm happy people enjoy the character, but I'm never quite clear on. She's not very funny or anything, but that's okay. I mean, it's something I have to keep pondering. What is attractive about this? I think we all like the idea of what did Raph Flutex called Wistful? Socialist paradise.
Huh.
You can live on Wistful, and you're going to be taking. She only has people there because she likes having people on her, right?
Right. Yeah.
She doesn't need them.
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing is like, would giving her free will, would she still like that? That's a question that, Rohan had to ponder, right? Would she
Yeah.
still want people on her?
Yeah, he took a risk. He's taking a
Yeah,
risk, but his
take a
whole
big
thing
risk.
is, I always imagine that in this scene that I never write and never wrote and never will write, he hit rock bottom somewhere like a year before the first book. And he was like, "Oh, I've done terrible things, and I don't want to even live any." Maybe he was even contemplating like suicide or something, right? But he was just feeling terrible, and just said, "I'm going to have to do something different. I have to change because I can't handle this. This is not okay." And everything after, you don't have to read the scene, right? We've all had moments like that. I think where it's like, this is not the way I want this to go. I've got to fix something. So the rest of the series is just this reflection of this moment that's not in the text. And he'll never talk about it, or I don't think he will. But
Wistful gave him a home,
yeah,
to be able to do this.
yeah. But she does that out of just likes people, can provide a service for them, and does because she can. Because that's my experience, right? When people have these capacities, they use them. You could be just alone, right? Or you could have a bunch of people there, and they could all have their families and eat good food.
But,
Catch fish.
I think part of it, Joe, is that how, um, you know, when you talk about places in fantasy books or sci-fi books and settings, and people want to feel that those settings are real and that they're lived in. I think Wistful being sentient gives the reader that sense of home and belonging that that they're looking for in a setting like that when they're reading stuff like this, and it's manifested in a way that's actually sentient, and
Yeah,
that I think that's why
yeah.
people connect with
I
it.
like that.
That's what my guess.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, cool.
There's no place like home.
It's fun to write.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we can make a new sign. No place like Wistful, right?
Yeah. I got to get a different artist to do a Wistful cover for one of these books one of these days.
Yeah.
Chris isn't really a space station guy, but other people are.
There we
Or
go.
maybe for an omnibus or an inside, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if you
I
want
keep
to break
having-
the pattern. You got too many cool Rohan covers,
That's
Yeah, you
true.
do.
That's true. I think another character is going to make the main cover of Mortality Gauntlet. I got to see what Chris does, because once I give Chris instructions, he just does what he wants. So, I don't have control over the
Shaving,
cover.
Rohan's beard.
Never give him a beard. It's funny. It's funny. It's okay. It's okay. They're beautiful covers. I can't argue. I'm like,
Oh, they're
okay.
fantastic.
Awesome.
I'm just imagining, so there's some 5 o'clock shadow there, I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
I'll say he's supposed to have a beard. He sent it back to me, and it was like I could barely discern a difference. I'm like, all right, whatever you say, man. I'm not gonna argue. He's great. He's great. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you reading through. And again, there's that, you're taking a chance on a book, and then you're spending a lot of time with these books. Obviously, if you're getting to 3, 4, 20, whatever. And that's where the value comes to me, right? Because if someone doesn't read the 3rd, the 5th book, they don't get the thing that I'm trying to achieve, which is the scope, right? So it's always nice when someone reads the first book, but it's extra good when someone reads the further on and they get that.
Yeah.
So, I know that feeling.
Yeah. I know you do. Yeah. I know you do.
Nice. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here for today. Unless you guys have any further questions, thoughts.
We're all good on what the title meant.
Oh yeah,
we covered it pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah, we covered that. Yeah. I would like to give a shout out to my friend Chris Mullen for introducing me to your books there, Joe. So shout out
Thank
to
you,
him
Chris.
for that, because I'm ahead of him now. So, but yeah, and thank you all for watching. Thanks to Philip and Joe for doing this. This was fun, and I'll have links to their channels below, of course. And go read Hybrid Helix Saga.
Thank you.
And bye now.